All righty.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. We're getting ready to go live in just a few minutes with Dr. Diane Smith. Anybody that watches the show knows this is my time to make sure everything's connected so that you can get on, start your own watch parties, get your questions ready because we are going to have a great show today. So buckle up. And if you have diabetes or you know someone that does, that's pre-diabetic or have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, this is the day that you want to be on. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to make sure everything's connected so we can get started. Okay, let me see. Where am I? Let's see if we started yet. I want to, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to start a watch party here. I think sometimes I get this right, says Dr. Diane, and sometimes I don't.
Well, that's the case with just about everything, isn't it?
All right, let's see. Oh, there we go. Start a watch party. There we go. Let's see. Okay, wait a minute. I need to make sure that we are where I need to be. Now, why isn't it connected? Let me see. Okay, I see us there. Let's see. Let me see if we're here. I'm still learning how to get everything. Okay, there we are there. Okay, we are in my page there. So we are on my page. Let me see. There we go. And I'm going to start a watch party. There we go.
Cool. Lots of technology. It's so amazing, though.
I know. Okay, we are in my page, and I have to turn that down. So we are on my page. Let me see. There we go. And I'm going to start a watch party. Okay, perfect. Now I've got that down. Let's see if we are here. Let me see if we're on my page. My page yet. Alrighty. I hope we are where I need to be. If not, we're getting ready to get started. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we've got people on this morning. I've got Yvonne Weaver. She is in Mesa, California. She is on this morning, and I know I've got other people on this morning. I just need to find out where they are. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's see if we're there. Good morning, everybody. This is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. I hope you are having a blessed and wonderful day today. We are on this morning with Dr. Diane Smith from Missouri State University, and she is going to be talking to us today about diabetes. So I'm trying to make sure I've got this in one more place before we get started. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Cool beans. There we go. All right. I'm excited. So I'm going to start by just saying this is Melisha with Love for Life Wellness. I am a nutritional health coach. I own my own business. I work with clients from California to New York, helping them with their health issues. I mainly like to work with women just because we're kindred spirits, and I can attest to how a woman feels. And a lot of the women I work with, they are busy moms, grandmothers, they work, they're professional women, and a lot of times these women and us, we have taken care of everyone but ourselves, and we end up being sick. And so my goal is to help us to not be sick and to help us so that we can get healthy. And lately I've been last year in my practice, I worked mostly with women with diabetes or that were pre-diabetic. So in 2020, that is going to be my focus is helping women that are pre-diabetic, that have diabetes, and also non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. They all start in the same place, and they all can be deadly. I was just listening to a podcast, and there are over 100 million people just in the United States that have these diseases, and it's become epidemic. And our children are getting them now, getting diabetes. And what I know is that it can be turned around. And just because your family may have the tendencies to get diabetes, that doesn't mean you have to get it, and you don't have to. And once you get it, you don't have to be sick. So I am just so blessed today to have Dr. Smith with us today. I'm sorry. Yvonne said she's from Gilbert, Arizona. I'm sorry. I thought we're from Mesa. She's from Gilbert, Arizona. So she is my second mom. This is her niece, and she's a member of my family. And she's been dealing with some issues, but she's getting better. So we're excited to have her here with us this morning. Let me see. I just want to make sure. I'm trying to get where I need to be. Okay, so we're getting ready to get started with Dr. Diane Smith today. And if you see me moving around a little bit, because I'm just trying to make sure that I am where I need to be. So Dr. Smith is with us, and we just met last week. I did a high blood pressure screening at a church here, a local church here in Springfield. And I appreciate them for letting us hold blood pressure screening there. And that's when I met her a week ago today. We talked, hit it off, and we're going to do some great things together here in Springfield and across the country, helping people, especially women, deal with this disease. So without further ado, I am going to ask Dr. Smith just to talk first about what you do at Missouri State and what the things that you like to practice, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, good morning, Melisha and everyone. What a beautiful day it is. So, well, I'm Dr. Diane Smith, and I got my doctorate in nursing practice in 2016. I've been a nurse since 1994. And I love all aspects of nursing, but health and wellness has really captured my heart. In my doctoral project, I worked with people with low levels of income and just tried to help them find low and no cost ways to exercise and to eat better. So it sure is cheap to buy your McDonald's Happy Meal, but it costs you so much in the long run.
Yes.
So balancing all of those things is so important. I just started at Missouri State in January of 2020, and I'm teaching right now in the graduate program for future nurse educators. So all of this is my passion. Loved meeting Melisha last week, and she's right. It's all about health, wellness, and prevention. That's so much easier than dealing with a long-term chronic illness. Let's just prevent it before it starts, particularly in women and kids. So glad to be here.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to have you here. So let's start number one. Describe in terms that we can all understand, because I study this, I read it, and I still can get the terminology and confused. Let's start with, what is diabetes? What is it?
What is diabetes? Well, diabetes is your body's inability to either produce insulin or use it properly. So what insulin does, it's a hormone, and it is secreted out into your body, and it helps control your blood sugar levels. So when that isn't working well, you either don't use sugar well, or you're not able to process it at all. Therefore, it stays in your blood, and an older term is sugar diabetes. And if you've got older relatives, they'll say, oh yeah, I've got the sugar diabetes, and that's what it is. There's too much sugar in their blood, so they're absolutely right about that. So the two types are type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is when you don't make any insulin anymore, and you have to give it to yourself in a shot for your blood sugar to be controlled. And one easy way to remember that is type 1 looks like a syringe. So, and then type 2 is when you are still making some insulin, but it's not enough to be effective. Type 2 is really the most common and the one that we can turn around. So we can manage type 1 really well, but there is some evidence that type 2 can be completely reversed. So.
And that is amazing, because I was watching one YouTube video today, and one doctor said it couldn't be reversed, and I knew that wasn't right. I think he was more on the medical side, not on the more of the holistic health
Right.
coaching side of it. And then I listened to Dr. Neil Bernard, who I studied with when I went to school, and he talked about at whatever stage it can be reversed, but it takes time and diligence. And so now for someone that is newly diagnosed with, say they are, let's start with the pre-diabetic state, what would be the first things that someone could do that is pre-diabetic to make sure they don't get into a full-blown type 2 diabetes?
Well, it all comes down to exercise and nutrition. And really, those two interventions are the key to preventing almost any chronic disease. But because your body is having trouble managing glucose, then you want to be very careful how you feed your body. And if you feed it high carbs, white bread, white rice, those change to sugar very rapidly in your body and cause those blood sugar spikes quickly. If you use whole grains, if you eat fruit instead of sugar, if you eat just very nutritionally, very sound, then you can maintain your blood sugar levels at a more constant rate, and then that'll prevent all the side effects from occurring, including advancing on to diabetic stage. The second thing is exercise. So important. The risk factors for diabetes are being overweight, being physically inactive, having hypertension, just to name a few, and exercise combats all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we asking you to do? You don't go from 0 to marathon, right?
No.
We can't do that. But if you've been sitting on your couch for 2 years, if you get up and walk around your block, you have done more for your body than you can even imagine. And once you do that, then you'll feel better. And Melisha, being a health and wellness coach, I mean, that's exactly what you're there to do, is to just help people manage those increases in their exercise and their better nutrition.
Let's talk a little bit about saturated fats. And, I know that, most doctors, they're going to tell you to cut sugar and they're going to tell you to cut carbohydrates. But one of the things and I'm a real firm believer, is that the saturated fats that come from meats and, vegetable oils, those can be very high contributors to diabetes as well. What do you know anything about that?
Well, in general, saturated fats cause hypertension. They can cause just a myriad of complications in your whole body, because if you think about it, a saturated fat, what is in your skillet after you cook bacon, that's a solid.
Yes.
And that's what's going through your bloodstream. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of makes sense that that's going to cause a lot of health problems for you. It's so there are fats. You must have fats, because there's a lot of fat that covers your parts of your brain, and so you want to have the good fats, like from avocados and other types of fruits and vegetables that are high in what you call, unsaturated fats, because everything works together for the good. It's just finding the balance. Saturated fats are something to avoid or limit, for sure.
And then dealing with, I have a couple of questions, but when I coach clients and really a lot of, I'm going to say this as gently as I can, a lot of people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, they eat a vast amount of meats. And so when I'm encouraging them not to give up meats, but to
Right.
lessen the meats and start adding more, fruits and vegetables in their diet, that becomes very hard for them because they have eaten so much meats. But one of the things I realize is that the meats is a really high contributor to the diabetes. And so if we can help people to not totally, I would love for people to totally give it up, but that's not for me to say. But I think if you can start decreasing the meats and then add the exercise and the nutrition, that's going to help as well. I have a question from a Facebook user. They said, is there a number that is considered a high carb when looking at ingredients?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And that's a little tricky because carbs are starches and fiber and just so you have to kind of look at that because you want a high fiber, but you want to watch your carbs. So it's kind of looking at your entire nutrition label. So with fiber, you want it to be above 2%. Your sugars, you want to be low, and it depends on the product. But you want to look for, if you're comparing two products, then you want to use the one that has less sugar in it. So when you're looking at carbohydrates, you're looking at a combination of things. So label reading is really important, and there's some great websites that talk about how to interpret a label, because that's really hard for us. But even more important than that is avoiding prepackaged foods, because you are going to end up with higher levels of sugar, carbs, and all of those things that we don't need. So one little tip is to shop around the edge of the store where there's fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. Even your fresh meats are going to be better than your processed meats in the freezer. So that's another little tip. So
You're
just
absolutely right.
label.
I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit, is that one of the things I really suggest, and they've got some great products out there, are, complex carbohydrates, switching from brown rice, white rice to brown rice, to gluten-free pastas. They've got some great pastas out there that are made with brown rice or lentils, or I bought some that was made from organic, non-GMO soybeans. And
Yes.
so or even my husband likes this. We do a lot of spaghetti squash. And so
Mhm.
learning how to make those changes so that you still feel satiated and satisfied with eating a pasta, but it's not going to be a pasta that's going to raise your blood sugar, and that especially if it's plant-based, that's going to help keep your blood sugars more stabilized.
Yes, yes. So you still want to enjoy your food, but it is a little bit about, and I'm sure that's exactly what you do, is retraining your body and your taste buds to enjoy things that are better for you. And really, your body thrives on that. So once you get used to kind of getting off the chips and pastas and things like that, you begin to enjoy really healthy foods a lot more.
I have another question. Yvonne, she says she's a post-liver transplant, recently taken off prednisone. She
Yeah.
was on insulin until October of last year and placed on a glipizide 2.5 milligram sugar level.
Mhm.
Glipizide 2.5 milligram. Sugar
Right.
levels were great until last week. Her doctor changed the dose to 5. What can she do? So I don't know what a glipizide is.
Yeah.
So she would know. So maybe address what she's a post liver transplant. So
Okay. So it sounds like you're that she's on like an oral anti-diabetic or a pill for it instead of insulin. That's pretty complicated. And with a post liver transplant, what can you do? You really need to get in touch with your doctor. because that is some intensive medical management and really beyond the scope of just a general conversation. But kudos, and it sounds like they are working with you in a lot of ways, and grateful that you're doing better. But that's just kind of beyond what we're able to really manage here. So I definitely get in touch with my doctor, might even make a little trip to urgent care just to make sure. And that kind of piggybacks onto, you want to look at your blood sugars day to day, but then the test, the A1C test, that looks at an average of your blood sugars over 2 months is really going to be the best measure of how you're doing with your sugars. So sorry, I can't exactly answer that. It's just, it sounds pretty complex.
I'm sure it is. Now, one of the things testing is so important for people
Yeah.
with diabetes because you can't conquer what you don't know. And
Right.
so that is one of the issues that I have seen is that, and my clients have made great strides with testing their blood sugar. But, if you don't test your blood sugar, you're not going to know where you are, and you're not going to be able to manage your A1C if you don't know where you are. So let's talk about why you need to test at different times of the day, in the morning, maybe afternoon, in the evening, and how really important that is for managing those blood sugar levels.
Well, it really is. First of all, of course, the A1C is the biggest measure, and you will have to go to the doctor for that test.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit about, if you don't have insurance, maybe a little bit later in the program, what could we do? But your blood sugar does vary throughout the day, right? So once you eat, it goes up. And so you want to test your blood sugar before you eat, just according to your doctor's instructions, so you know where you are. And a lot of people are on, if they're insulin dependent, they're on what's called a sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
So if your sugar is 130, then you might need this amount of insulin. If it's 180, you're going to need a different amount of insulin. You're also probably going to really have to think about what you're going to eat for that meal. And you want to, of course, always do the complex carbohydrates and not those processed foods. So when a person who doesn't have diabetes takes their blood sugar before they eat, it should be somewhere around 70 to a little less than 99. But if you have diabetes, and so we know that's going to be kind of an issue, it may range from 80 to 130. So, and then after you eat, it's going to go up quite a bit. So maybe even as much as 50 milligrams per deciliter there. But just go from 130 to 180 after you eat. So knowing when to test and knowing how to interpret those numbers is really important.
Now, say somebody eats and their blood sugar, after they eat, they test 2 hours after they eat, and their blood sugar is like 210. What possibly have they done or to have spiked their blood sugar to be that high after a meal?
Okay, well, there's a lot of things that go into high blood sugars. It's not just what you eat, but it's also if you feel sick, if you're running a fever, if you have other medical complications, that's always going to affect that. So you really need to look at the whole person. What are you doing? What kind of stress levels are you having at that moment? Is it a chronic stress or something that's just happened that's rocked your world for that particular day? And what are you eating? So again, going back to those basic nutrition guidelines that you'll help people with is just eating those whole grains, the fruits, vegetables, eating chicken and fish and beans and other plant-based that provide more complete proteins. So
Well, you're talking. That's basically how I work with my clients is, eating more plant-based and everything you just said. But one of the things you said that was so, really hit me is then when you talk about other medical issues. So say you have diabetes and you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you're overweight. How does that set you up for wellness? And not for just for wellness, but for getting well, staying well, or getting sicker.
Yes. So if you have more than two chronic diseases, you really, really need to get on that. Chronic disease. So it used to be that more people died of like communicable disease, things that went from person to person. But now that we've gotten kind of a hold of that in general, chronic disease is the number one killer of everyone. So all through the world, even in more underdeveloped countries. So you need to first get a clear diagnosis. Do I have hypertension? Do I have high blood pressure? Do I have which is hypertension? Do I have high cholesterol? And am I diabetic? If I have all of those things, then I've really got to be careful with my body. You've got to feed it well, must exercise, because each thing is like a building block, and so or a destroying block, really. So
Yeah.
everything is going to have an impact on your blood, on your circulation, on your even on your brain function.
Hmm.
Actually, hypertension can cause a lot of issues, and if you have little mini strokes, which all of those things set you up for, then that could lead to a major stroke, and we all know how debilitating that can be. It can either cause death or just really those long-term side effects that at that point are not reversible. So it's just so important that you get on track with, again, exercise and nutrition. I say it over and over, and it sounds so simple, but so critical, and is apparently hard for us to manage, particularly in America, because we're 30 to 40% of people are overweight, inactivity is rampant, and processed foods are really available.
Processed foods are, not and not just the processed foods. When I look at commercial these days, I mean, they are just killing us with the things that they show on TV, all the fried foods. And
Mm-hmm.
even I watched the program of commercial the other day about, bribing your kids to eat their vegetables with processed French fries. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and so it's a vicious circle because we see it on TV, we get sick, we go to the doctor doesn't start asking the questions that need to be asked. What is your diet? Do you exercise? Sometimes the first thing doctors want to do is put us on medication. We need doctors, we need the medical profession, but it would just be nice if some doctors or wellness professionals would start off asking the right questions that can lead somebody to take a different path to their wellness. And then if they don't respond, yes, start putting them on medication then. But why is there such a disconnect right now, you think, with that?
That is just the question of the hour, really, for everyone. Medical professionals are under a lot of pressure to see a lot of patients. Sometimes their office visits are timed, so they really have some limitations in what they're able to do, and they see you for only a brief moment in time, and they only know what you tell them. So if they don't ask the right questions, or if you don't volunteer the right information, then the whole story doesn't get told. So I think that's part of it. I mean, our culture is take a pill and fix it. The pharmaceutical industry is very wealthy, very connected into the medical system. But you're right. You have to have somebody ask you the right questions, because what's going to motivate me and help me change is going to be different than what's going to motivate you and help you change. Because I have my own set of issues, the way I was raised, the foods that I like, the exercise patterns I'm used to. And so that's, I think, where real change occurs, is when someone can look at you and say, what can you do in your life? And build a plan for you. And then for the person who needs that, they actually have to follow that plan. So it really comes down to a lot of internal motivation. You have to want to change, and you have to want to make the steps that make that change possible. But that's again where a wellness coach comes into play, because it helps so much with motivation.
That internal, and a lot of that internal mindset, that I
Mhm.
spend a lot of my time with my clients just on that, because we have those things that we've done, that we've learned from childhood, or we just get in those habits. And some people have food addiction, or they use food as a reward. We're in church,
Mhm.
and so a lot of times everything is around food, and so it becomes hard it doesn't become hard. It's a little more, you have to be more diligent to make those changes, but changing that mindset is so key. And that's really a big barrier in what a health coach works on, to help people to make those changes. A lot of people, they come to us as a nurse or health coach, they want solutions, but it's hard to get to change that mindset. Any comments on that?
Yes. Well, what you're talking about really is that whole culture of, take a pill and fix it, or just, I want to come and see you one time, and I want to look, great in the summer. So it's that idea that you didn't get diabetes overnight, you didn't get overweight overnight. All of those things didn't happen in 1 week or 2 weeks. And so we're not going to change all that in 1 week or 2 weeks. But the thing is, if you're 100 pounds overweight, and a lot of people are, and I've certainly been overweight, and in my lifetime here, up and down, um, you can't really look at that as it just becomes kind of overwhelming to think about losing 100 pounds. But it's maybe not overwhelming to think about losing 5 pounds in a month. So just really, that's that motivation for you, for people. And also, just don't get overwhelmed wherever you are. And whatever your problem is, and we've already talked a little bit about having all kinds of different diseases, that's going to change how you manage things. But it doesn't mean that you can't be better. So just, I think that's part of the problem with motivation too, is we just expect change too fast.
And another, and I'm going to piggyback on what you said. We can get better. Now, we are living longer than we ever have. People are living to they are, 70, 80 years old. But my question is, how are you going to live? Are you going to live sick, where you're
Mhm.
having to stick yourself every day, start getting, things amputated, in a
Yeah,
wheelchair, on an oxygen mask? And you can live that way to your 80 years old, but wouldn't it be better to live to your, I would, I plan to live till I'm 100. I tell that to people all the time. But if I died tomorrow, I would feel good knowing that I was healthy, and I felt good, and I could move, and I could exercise it. I was doing everything I could to be healthy. And so the goal is, yes, we're living longer, but how do you want to live? Do you want to live till you are 80, healthy, vibrant, be able to play with your grandkids, walk them out? Or do you want to live to your 80, sick and in a wheelchair, having to, take 10 medications? And that's a hard thing to think of. So yeah, people are living longer, but how do you want to live?
that's right. So really what you're talking about is quality and quantity, and that goes with your exercise, your food, and your lifespan. Just living to be 100, you're right, isn't really a goal if you are not able to do anything but sit in a chair. And that goes back to motivation. I think one thing you said for your grandkids. So that's one thing that you need to think about is what's going to motivate you. Um, if you have a brand new grandkid, do you want to be sitting in a wheelchair with them? Maybe they're on your lap, maybe they're not. Or do you want to be at the park with them or fishing with them? Or what's your motivation? What's your goal? And what do you need to do to get there where you have fun in life? I mean, there's so much to do, so many places to see and go. Even if in your neighborhood or if you're able to travel, whatever you can do. So just that quality and fun in life it's so important. And every time you do something good for yourself, then you can do the next good thing too. So
Oh man, you said a mouthful, quality and quantity. So
you.
the quality of our life and the quantity of our lives, that is just, that is everything, and so when you said, what is your motivation? Most of the time when I work with when I see my clients or my sisters, that's normally one of the first places that we start. What is your why? Why do you want to be healthier? Why do you want to get off your medications? Why do
Mhm.
you want to lose weight? And not just that you want to lose weight to get in a pair of pants, that's an end goal, but really, what is your why? What is down in your heart for why you want to do? Are you motivated because you don't want to be in a wheelchair? Are you motivated to play? What is your why? Because you want to be able to enjoy your grandkids. I just became a grandmother, and that was one of the things that got me to get well, because when I was sick and I was on a cane and addicted to pain medicine, I knew that when I became a grandmother, I wasn't going to be able to go to the park with my grandkids. I wasn't going to be able to go to the amusement park or just enjoy them. And so that was a great motivator for me to get well. And so I start there. What is your why? And that's your motivation. And so you keep your why in front of you so that you can move forward on your health and wellness journey. And I think that's the key for diabetes. You can get better. You don't have to be sick. You can do this.
You can do it. And here's another thing, thinking about kids is like, just bring them along with you.
Absolutely.
Where are you and what have you had to overcome to get back to being healthy? What if you could start with your kids or your grandkids and teach them all the great habits that you're learning and doing, and then they never end up in the bind that you're in. They live healthy, productive lives. And I can't think of any bigger blessing for a mom or a grandma than to see their kids flourish and do well.
You are so right. This morning I was online looking for a baby food maker for my granddaughter, because I'm going to insist that they feed her organic, clean baby food. And they've got so many things that are so easy. All you got to do is put the food in, put some water, and touch a button, and you can make fresh baby food. And so instead of using processed food that you don't know how long it's been there, where it comes from, and so yes, and so a lot of my clients, they come to me because they don't want their daughters or their sons or their grandchildren having to go through the things that they're having to go through. That's a great why, a great motivator. You nailed it right there.
And so for that, we don't have any kids around the house, but we got pets. So
Hmm.
my dog, I make his food for him, because if you'll look at a pet food can or you look at a can of those Gerber baby foods, there's very little recognizable ingredient in either one of those. And that's
Hmm.
another great tip for label reading is if it's a chemical name, it's a chemical. It's not natural. And so just learning how to look at the ingredients, and the first one is the one that is the most, has the most in that one jar. So reading down, there's less at the end, of course. So just learning how to read a label and making sure that you're not eating just a lot of chemicals. That's going to help you because we don't really know. I mean, there have been studies done, and that those chemicals in those foods, we don't really know what that does with blood sugar. We don't really know when you put a foreign substance in your body like that. We don't really know how your body's going to react, but we can kind of guess that it's probably not in a good way.
I'm doing a grocery store tour on Monday, and that's one of the services I offer for my clients is because we've got to be able to read labels.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the food manufacturers, they are changing the names of things on the labels now. They're trying to Jedi mind trick us. And so you have to be constantly aware of what the manufacturers are doing and what you're putting in your food. And that's why fresh is better if possible. And I also do, we did a meal prep party last week, which was amazing because we're able to, cook our own food, put it in a freezer, and know what we're eating instead of going out to eat. Now, I love going out to eat, but I'm very particular about what I order and the places I go that the foods are clean. And so it's not so much that you have to change everything in your life. You can still enjoy life. You can still go out to eat. You can eat great foods,
Yeah.
but it's all in making that change. Like yesterday, I bought an air fryer the other day. I love fried foods. I love fried fish. This air fryer was amazing. I'm like, why did I do this 3 years ago? My goodness, I made the best fish in there. And so it's just making those little changes that are going to help your diabetes, help your high blood pressure, help you lose weight. And so losing weight is a big part of dealing with your diabetes. Can you talk a lot about that for us, please?
Absolutely. So that's really one of the risk factors is being overweight, and another one is physically inactive. So I'll just kind of go through the list here. If you're 45 or older, your risk is great. So that's when you start to get the little aches and twinges, right? And maybe you don't want to exercise as much. So it's easier to get overweight. Or maybe you've just added a pound or two every year, and here you are at 50 or 60, and you're looking at being 30 and 40 pounds overweight. Um, and then high blood pressure. It's really clear that losing a little weight is going to help with your blood pressure. And when you combine high blood pressure and diabetes, then you just have two chronic diseases and two ways for your body to go wrong. And it just compounds every problem that you have. So, and again, we talked a little bit about the cholesterol and saturated fats. Those all work together to make your diabetes worse. But and all of those things really, if you think about it, contribute to being overweight because you eat fatty foods, you sit around, and you let little aches and pains, kind of bother you. So just looking at all of that and then beginning to move in any way that you can is going to help you lose weight. And you sure do feel better. I know the last time I had to lose some weight, and I've got a little bit to go right now, but even dropping 10 pounds, my knee twinges are less, and you have a little more energy. And so once you start having more energy, then you can do more things. So it just builds so positive. Um, and then one good change leads to another, just the way that one bad change or one bad decision before got you in kind of in the position that you're in.
You're so right. I'm going to acknowledge a couple people that are on. I've got D. Lucy on this morning, Rachel Jones, Pastor Barbara Norfor. She's in New Mexico. We've got First Lady Jamerson. She was on this morning. And I'm having trouble seeing anybody. So if anybody else is on, give me a high five. Tell me that you're on. Ask your questions before we are done with Dr. Smith. We have a doctor on this morning, y'all. So y'all need to come out and get these questions answered. Get your questions, ask your questions, and get some questions answered. But I'm going to talk really frank, and some people may think I'm trying to scare them, but yes, I am. So if you are obese, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and have diabetes and you don't take care of yourself, you your life, the quality of your life is not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
The quantity of your life is going to be decreased, and you're going to, and then on top of that, you're going to be going to the doctor, spending all kinds of money on doctors. When I first got sick, I spent over $10,000, and that was with insurance, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And then you're going to spend all this money on medication. You could take that money, buy organic, clean food. So when people say, I can't afford it, but you're going to the doctor spending $40 for this specialist, or, spending money on this. And then you've got 20 medications that you're taking, that is money that you could put into your body, buying good, clean, healthy foods,
Yeah.
spending time cooking. I know you mean a lot of people don't want to cook, but you know, if you don't cook clean food, you don't know what's in it. And so then you're steadily putting poisons into your body, taking time to cook, prepping those meals. That's why I do the prep parties to learn how to cook. You have to take the time to take care of yourself, or you're just going to continue to spend money on the doctors, continue to spend money on medication, get sicker and sicker, and then things are going to start breaking down. And unfortunately, it's going to be a label. You're going to have a stroke. You're going to get possibly cancer, and you may die. You don't have to. And I'm not trying to scare you, but that's just the bottom line to the whole thing. Am I wrong or am I right?
You're so right. So my whole journey in nursing and just really led me to see that. I started in mental health, and then I went into public health and looked at big groups of people. And, one thing to mention that we haven't mentioned yet is that there's different groups of people have different risk factors. So if you're African American or you're Hispanic, your risk of diabetes and hypertension is higher than the general population. So when you compare groups to other groups, African Americans have a really high rate of both. Then I started teaching, and we were teaching in a nursing program, teaching nurses how to be nurses. They're undergraduate. And I could see how much time we spent on diseases and hospital care, and how little time we spent on what you would call health promotion, which is activity and diet and good mental health and taking care of the spiritual person inside of you. So when I decided to get my doctorate in nursing practice, so how did I want to practice nursing? I totally had to go population health and wellness, because I've seen really both sides. And you're right. If you just, you can spend a fortune in medical care. In fact, going bankruptcy, the number one reason for bankruptcy in the United States is a medical illness or injury. So that's crazy. You can lose everything that you've worked so hard to get. So that's become my passion, and why we connected so well is because just want you to be well and healthy and not have to go through all of those negative things.
Absolutely. And on the opposite side of that, people that have a little bit more money, they're spending, they can buy cleaner foods. Now let's go to the other side of that. People that have limited resources, there are still many ways that you can still eat healthy, on an EBD card, or if you're getting food stamps, or you have a limited amount of resources. You don't have to, and it's a sin here in the United States that you could pay $1 for a hamburger and you have to spend $5 on a salad. I mean, that's just crazy to me.
And people just feel overwhelmed when they see that, and like, I can't do it. But one of the greatest programs we have is our WIC program. So if you're a new mom, totally take advantage of all of that. You can get, Milk, which is a great complete protein. Your kids need the fat. You don't so much. So you want to look at that. But milk is a great source of protein that isn't meat, then won't have as many, negative side effects for you from that. They also can help you. You get a lot of education, but you also get all your WIC vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
Then another beautiful change in the last few years is that you can use your card now at the farmers market.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
I was so happy when that change happened. So if you're looking at that, at buying things, even your bagged lettuce, if you can go and get a few fresh things at the farmer's market, and again, it doesn't have to be everything you eat. We like it to be, but just anything you can do. So our food pantries too are doing a lot better with food. So just when if you visit food pantries on a regular basis, look at what you're offered and pick the freshest ingredients you can. So, and then to piggyback on that, if you do need medical care and you want to go back and find your diabetic numbers, there's a lot of places in Springfield for uninsured people. Right there at Missouri State, there's MSU Cares, and it's just for people that don't have any insurance, and you'll have to pay a little, but it's on a sliding scale, so you can figure that out. There's Lift Up Springfield, and there's just a lot of resources out there to get that bottom line so that you know what you're dealing with. As Melisha said, if you don't know the problem, you're not going to fix, you can't fix it. So those are just a few things you can do. Exercise. If you just walk, you don't have to join a fancy gym and buy a bunch of fancy clothes. So that's great too if you do that. But just walking around your block or around the track at a school, those things all make a difference.
You can even, I know at the church I went to, we had and I saw my friend, she goes to a local church here, and they're going to start exercise programs at churches. And so there are things you can start exercise program at your churches or synagogues, wherever you worship at, and walking. If you have Medicare, you have silver sneakers, which is free. I know so many people that have silver sneakers and will not even come to the Y. You've got the resources there. And so we're just here to educate you, to help you to know that there are the food pantries. And I love that you can go to I'm at the farmers market weekly, and I haven't been in a while, but especially in the summertime, you could get great fruits and vegetables for hardly nothing, and you're helping the local farmers. And at the farmers market, that's going to stretch your dollars. So there are ways that you can eat healthy. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but what I know is if it's important to you, then you can do it. There you can find ways to do it. There's so many free resources. Yes, I'm a health coach. Yes, I'm going to charge, but I offer my services free at I do volunteer at the Victory Mission for Women, because I'm a servant. I want to help people, and I do a lot of free stuff, but I can't do everything for free. But if you can hire a health coach, as a health coach, I'm going to walk with you every step of the way and give you the tools so that you can have health. I do virtual and online coaching. I've got coaching programs, and after the show, I've got a free resource about gut health, about getting your gut healthy for diabetes. So we've been almost an hour, but can you talk a little bit about gut health and how that affects diabetes as well? Because the free resource I'm going to give talks about gut health and diabetes.
Well, I don't want to steal your thunder on that, but clearly insulin is a hormone, and all of those in your gut, you have different hormones, good bacteria, bad bacteria, and all of those things contribute to your overall health. And if your gut isn't healthy, then you're not going to process either the hormone that properly, or your blood sugar. You're not going to be able to control that as well. So gut health, it's kind of, it's not really new, but it's really become incorporated into almost all wellness now. And because we're finding how important that is. And if you digest your food well or not, are you getting the nutrients out of it that you need? So even if you're eating healthier, more nutrient dense is kind of is the term food, if you can't absorb those nutrients, then you know, it's not going to help you at all, or as much as it could if you had a nice healthy gut. So
that I think I've got a program coming up soon about gut health. When I was in school, that gut health part of my education was so interesting, and I almost went
yeah.
into learning, doing a specialization on gut health. But a lot of people are doing it. There's a lot of resources, but
Mm-hmm.
if your gut is not healthy, then my husband's like, "You never talked about gut before. All you do is talk about gut now." But if your gut's not healthy, then that affects that's going to affect your blood pressure, your diabetes, your high cholesterol, your weight, all of it. And so even though my focus right now is diabetes, it all works together, getting your blood pressure, getting your cholesterol, losing weight. I can help you with all of it if that's what you need. And I've done it. A lot of my clients, I do it, but we're talking about gut health and diabetes. So yeah,
Yeah.
that gut health is so, it's probably because they say our gut is our second brain.
Yeah. And so, and speaking of that, one good thing that we haven't really touched on today, I think, is water.
Oh my
Um,
God. How
how
could I forget?
do we not talk about water? But I mean, water, your body is made of water.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Just critical that you drink your water and not a lot of Diet Cokes or Cokes. Just learn to like water, and it's 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 the life.
Well, our brains, what, are 75% water. And a
So
lot of
much
times
water, whole
if
everything.
you're thirsty, then you're already dehydrated. And as a health coach, that's probably mindset is number one, and drinking water is probably number
Yeah,
two. And so I'm surprised we didn't talk about water.
yeah,
But people find it so hard to drink water. I'm trying to figure out why.
yeah. And so maybe you need to get your jug and try to get that, or time things. And there's a lot that I'm sure you probably talk about how important it is to drink water the very first thing that you do in the morning, because you've been asleep for 8 hours and haven't
Absolutely.
drank anything. So that, I'm sure that's one thing that you talk about a whole lot, and how to incorporate it and how to increase it, and just making sure that you get enough water.
Well, we talk about it, but a lot of people still don't do it.
Yeah.
And so I need to do a study on why people know. And a lot of times I'm guilty of not drinking enough water. And a lot
Mm.
of times and then I'm dehydrated, I'm thirsty, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't drank enough water today. But the water, I do a detox as part of one of the things I offer, as for one of my programs I offer. And drinking that water pulls that toxins out of your body, and helps you to lose weight, and it's going to help your diabetes. And so water is key. So nutrition, exercise, water, taking care of your gut, mindset, that all contributes to your wellness when you're dealing with with any
Yeah.
chronic disease, and especially diabetes.
Correct. Great. That's a great summary. Covers it all well. Yeah, just take care of yourself and do all the things that you need to do to be healthy, and all of those chronic diseases will either go away or at least be minimized for you. So
Well, we've been on for about an hour, and I told people at the beginning that this was going to be a longer show just because, I mean, we could talk for 2 hours on this, and I'm probably going to have you back to talk about diabetes or some other issues. But I'm going to give anybody a chance to ask any questions before Dr. Diane Smith leaves us. But oh my God, this was an amazing show. If you catch this on the replay, if you can't watch it all at one time, because I know it's almost an hour, watch a little bit at a time, come back to it, because this is important. Share this with somebody you know, because I could probably think of 10 people that I know right now that have diabetes. Many people in my family. My own husband has diabetes. I have siblings. I have uncles and cousins, and that's just in my immediate family. And so, and then when you talk about those, and we're talking about other health issues on top of it. I was pre-diabetic. I do not have diabetes anymore because I got on it right away. When I got diagnosed with diabetes, I'm like, this is dumb. Why am I going to get diabetes from what I eat? So I did it right away. But and but my plea to you is take care of yourself. If
Mhm.
you can't do it, hire a health coach. I have a private Facebook group that's just for women. It's called Love for Life. It's just Love for Life, and you'll see my picture on the thing. Join that Facebook group. I do a lot of free stuff in that group. I give away a lot of freebies in that. You can get access to me and get a lot of your questions asked in that group. I'm getting ready to offer a new program just for diabetics. It's called Revive, Restore, and Rejuvenate. We're reviving our mind, we're restoring our body, and rejuvenating, trying to get us back to our health. I'm getting ready to do a 5-day challenge. That's going to be free. That's going to be coming up in a few days. I'm putting the finishing touches on that. And so what I'm trying to do is offer a systematic way to help us to get well. Some of it is free. Some of it you have to pay. That's a very low cost, because I know wellness professionals that are charging thousands of dollars to do what I do, and I don't charge a whole lot, but I give away a lot of stuff for free. So check me out on my group. I have a freebie that's on my website. It's www.love for the number 4lifewellness.com. That is my website. I have a freebie on there as well. I've got some videos on there, and I'm getting ready to offer a membership for those that don't want to do monthly coaching with me. But there's a membership, and we'll be talking about a lot of things every month in my monthly membership. So I'm working on the finishing touches for that. So, and I would like to know what you guys would like to work on as well. So before I go, anything else you want to tell us, Dr. Smith, before we let you go?
I can't think of anything, but I just want to thank you for what you're doing for women, for people. A health coach is just the greatest thing that you can have. Uh, so I would encourage everyone to take advantage of this. All I really want as a nurse is for you to be healthier. And I think Melisha can help you do that. So take advantage of those things. Be healthier. It's springtime. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day today. What better time to make a decision for you than right now?
And right now, today is the day. And that's one of my taglines of my business is live your best life today. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And so if you come to me and you reach out to me and you tell me you have diabetes, I am going to offer my service to you at a very low discount. And I'm going to discount it a lot. So if you contact me and say, Melisha, I have diabetes, I really need some help. I've been struggling. My A1C is over 7, and I've been really working hard. I'm struggling. I need your help. You reach out to me, and I promise I will make it so that you can get the help that you need, and I will happily help you. So thank you, Dr. Diane. It was my
Thank you.
pleasure, and we're going to have you on again. But me and you are going to do some things here in this
Yes, we
city
will.
together. I am
We will.
so excited. I'm so glad I met you. God knows how to do everything, and we're going to do
We
some
know how
great
to do
things right
everything.
here in Springfield together. So watch out. Me and Dr. Diane, we're getting ready because we want people to be healthy, and we're going to do some great things together. So I appreciate it. God bless everybody. Thank you for taking your time. Cheryl Clay was on, and Christy McKenzie was on. So we had quite a few people on. If you watch the replay, let me know you watched the replay. But we're so excited you were here. Take care. God bless.
Thank
Have a
you.
great and
God
wonderful
bless
day
you.
today.
Bye.